doing those hate speech and things, we'll use your IP number, we'll trace you. And when we trace you, we'll deal with you under the criminal code for inciting violence and disturbance of the peace.
And they said, Ghana, we are getting closer to culture of silence because His Excellency the President, John Mahama, was sending stern warning to bloggers, TikTokers, any journalists, especially bloggers, are almost criticizing the government. Mahama, I send a warning. I'm almost saying we knew a mistake here. No copa. You bet chill. You chose to make sure say you bet jailu. Mahama, I send a warning. Remember what you do. No actually why amame. Ewa comment section. I have Penyah Brock Media. Mes was say did you. Obe like if you don't know that I'm subscribe button. Somebody click the notification icon. Latest update. Somebody try why amame. Ewa comment section. Mes was baswa. No actually for so enya be ashe. Empen Penyah empen for ebu bese. Say yan kan wachi a osi agro no ede. But say kan wachi a obense agro no eya go bone pa. Eya go bone pa. Eya go bone. Anampen for say ebu bese. So koto say aboade ti unua so aka kire say sorry yeso en kan kire say sorry na so say bia ofri ne so obeba wo so ye nyina wo krom heye ene hu the face of Ghana politics started changing ye abra Kevin Taylor e ka say now no wabeye NDC communicator or protect NDC ana the face of Ghana politics a movie from intellectual argument to abuse. A movie from intellectual criticism to abuse, insult, any other plain insult. As at now, Kevin Taylor label MP before us piglet. Connectrate and echo. Or that's one of our good morning piglets. That's all refer to MPP. A good father, then I go Kevin Taylor can't go father. A good father, Coco, a good father, Sebi. A good father, special chese. And someone Kevin Taylor catch a good father, no, but I don't want some Nayaka. I was ever kind. Manfa Kwache Kakra, 2020, baby. Anna, there was an argument. Anna, Isaac Odongo, make as now or party comment be about the good father na memo, a honor, and will label a good father as Italian mafia. Emma, that particular post no make Mahama, His Excellency now, then now your former president. That time Mahama reposted that statement na Isaac Odongo emeki ana Otek Mahama press conference Otek Mahama interview and Otek FM ebuza Mahama question say na den na Isaac Odongo posting or repost here I say when Mahama kan
I didn't say anybody is a chance I just reposted. I read a statement by Isaac Odongo. Right. He made very good arguments, and actually my mind was on the body of the arguments he made, and so I reposted what he. So you didn't see Achinsakawa and all that. It didn't come to me as anything that I thought about. I saw his post. I just reposted it because the arguments he made there, for me, was the arguments he made there that were very cogent, and that's why I reposted it. But I don't want to defend that issue or go into a debate about it. The point is, I'll just say, when we all talk about Italian mafia, does it mean all Italians are mafia? No, just tell me.
Mama H.M.'s and yes, insult no Italian mafia woman to put the name of the argument now Isaac Odongo make in fact as or make key point and no Tinama Mahama make key report any other. Now say yet what 24 no MPP eku fie Emma NDC betena kunyaso. It do come down so MPP funds ebu of we say omo ha aba is a Kevin Taylor any Captain Koje Smart any Onua Mugabe Masimo or Henema Bo Mama any bo MPP no na atemi de nyina wo mu atemi de any mpuatwa ne ensem hunu bebre na ewo mu ento mu so fa aba kro na bi ezerom de saba na ebebo Mahama ene namamu NDC ba saba no wa maso na obeso de Mahama no eno so na obeka baba week ago Mahama dinka be ye press conference hono cast bloggers na say the bloggers must be regulated because omu disinform misinform cause fear and panic and on the media maybe also regulate you then can say no but enra Anna Mahama enya the first encounter with the media after assuming office as a president or having the first encounter. Emma or address nema bibrebe. Na adeba ko address here regulation of the media. Emma Mahama HM said now no National Signal Bureau no. When you some system bi a o make post e wo social media app na say o pass any comment on social media o betimi attrack wo phone IP address it na don be say o criticize the government na o go into deep na wano ekopa insult ekobebemu any other there they will track you through your IP address, your internet protocol, your IP address. Now, make sure say you do go jail.
The last time the GJA came to me, I mentioned to them that as the world changes and new technologies come, we're moving from not having just the traditional media into having what we call the new media. These are all the new social media instruments like TikTok, like Facebook, like X, and all of them. And so the traditional sense of journalists like you, most of you trained and working in media houses that have a corporate identity and can be held responsible for the information that you put out, is beginning to change. We have a new crop of I'll call them neo-journalists, who anybody with a phone and a camera can report news or comments on national issues. Now the point is, who holds those people responsible? And that's what he's saying. If you go to some of the WhatsApp platforms, or you go to some of the commentaries in the TikToks and others, we have what we call hate speech, incitement to violence. Those are criminal. Despite the fact that we have removed the criminal libel laws, there are some laws that make such people accountable. Because if we don't regulate that sector, it can lead this nation to war. There are some of the incendiary statements that have been made in the Boko situation that are fueling some of what is happening there, making people hate each other and see each other as enemies. It's been the same in the Gonja Brefo thing. Some people fanning and inciting violence against each other. This falls in the ambit of the National Signals Bureau. And so the National Signals Bureau now has the technology to use your IP number and find you wherever you are. So I'm sending a signal to Ghanaians that we can use doing those hate speech and things. We'll use your IP number, we'll trace you. And when we trace you, we'll deal with you under the criminal code for inciting violence and disturbance of the peace. But I believe that beyond that, we must start making regulation for this new media because it's unregulated. And so anybody just takes a phone and says, oh, this plane crash, I wish that so and so had been the one in the helicopter and had died, and dwarfs have eaten him in the forest. I mean, why would you say something like that? And so we need regulation for that new emerging media. But in the meantime, the National Signals Bureau has been given the full authority to track down people who do that kind of thing and bring them to be sanctioned under the criminal code. Very steep appreciation in the value of the city in response to the reforms that we were carrying out. And for those of you who listened to me, there was one occasion where I said, people were asking whether it will go below 10. And I said, it is dropping, but it will find its true value. It was undervalued at 16, and it probably is overvalued at 10. But somewhere between there, we have the real value of the city. And so I believe that it is about stopping rapid depreciation of the currency. Almost every currency would realize either depreciation or appreciation in the course of a year. But when you have steep depreciation of about, like we had in 2024, 25% depreciation in the currency in the first half of the year, it makes planning difficult. And so, yes, Bank of Ghana has been intervening in the forex market, but they've withdrawn. And what happened was that because of the rapid appreciation in the value of the cedi, we saw an exponential increase in imports, because then people could buy cheaper dollars and so they could import more, which is a natural economic phenomenon. But on the other side, exporters are not happy because they get less cedis for what they export. And so every country tries to find out a balance where exporters are able to do good business and importers are not overburdened by high forex rates. Where that lies, I don't know. I'm not a central bank. But the CD is making an adjustment, and I believe that it will settle at a certain rate, and we will make sure that any depreciation that occurs in the value of the CD is within a margin of about 5% per annum. That is what we target. And so for now, there's still speculation. It's also coincided with a period where we saw a reduction of 50% in remittances because citizens in the diaspora were taken aback by the rapid appreciation of the cedi. And so if somebody was building a house, if he was going to send $100,000, it meant that he was losing a certain percentage of that 100,000. And most of them would decide to adopt a wait-and-see attitude and say, oh, no, as for cedi, it's not possible that the cedi can regain its value to that extent. By all means, it will go up again. So I'll hold back my remittance until the cedi goes back up. So we saw a 50% reduction. But there were also some other factors. There were some money transfer companies that were collecting cedis abroad and not repatriating collecting dollars abroad and not repatriating the dollars. There were other which we're investigating. There were other cases where people applied through the commercial bank with regards to the security in the Sola, Tuna, Kalba, and Bole districts. It was an incident over a small plot of land, like the land you put a container kiosk on. That's all. And it has led to over 30 deaths. Somebody has his house, and there's a land between the house and the street. And he wants to build shops on that land. And then there's a dispute with the chief. And then it leads to gunfire and then deaths. It's most unfortunate, like the questioner said, these are two groups that have lived in peace for so many years and are intermarried. There are people from one side who are married to their others, people from one side that are married to others. I, for instance, am such a mixture of people, I don't know who I am. Part of me is Vagla, part is Safalba, part is Gonja. I mean, quarter of everything. And so if my ethnic groups are fighting, it means my body should be fighting with different parts of my body because I'm a mixture. My blood is made up of all those ethnic groups. And so it's most unfortunate. And so we've put in a mediation team. We mentioned the members. The two MPs are supposed to be ex-official members to work with the mediation team. If you look at the terms of reference in the mediation team, there's also reconciliation. And so even though we call it a mediation team, its terms of reference includes reconciliation. So we've given them the full authority to meet both sides, to perform purification rites, to cleanse the land of any blood that has been spilled and all that, and then to come out with recommendations how to improve relations between the two groups so that they live in peace. There are few feudal practices that have been complained about, where people are called to chiefs' palaces and shipped, or they are forced to give up their animals and things. We need to look at all those practices too as we go forward. We're in a modern society, and so sometimes some of these things we must take another look at them. I've been accepted by all sides. Indeed, sometimes my greatest supporters were people of other ethnic extractions other than my own Gonja extraction. I won elections not because I was a Gonja, but because of the person that I was, and I enjoyed a good relations with everybody. And so even though I haven't visited yet, I have not gone there yet because I want peace to have a chance, but I've been pulling the strings. I sent a delegation to the Yegbonra to prevent him from leaving Damango and going to Biniri, which would have escalated the conflict. and he listened to me as a father.
Eti Mahama echiremu se opese now or cleaning the media space. What I say, opese now or regulating the media no or cleaning hate speech any other do say opese only free honor. Even as now Mahama can't say me. And young people from Kwana you NDC ko omo TikTokers ko now what they yeah na yes but this is what Mahama said yesterday Emma okay can or address say anyway be na no so e kan ho but ebi mu kire say ado na Mahama I starting the answer a culture of silence or be say or the ehun bi eto opposition parties so say bi omuntimi enka na memo ho asem bi because I know no obi a be suru say on person obi kan kase ne wa be chi no at the end obi akwachi no then obi a be ye di na wahwe na memu jama for kire a culture of silence na culture of silence then here na ne kan fa dey see ne pa no entu anfo because no bro ka say ne pa president say investigate culture of silence because of that no wa ban social media apps ni bi those na government wan say ba ya mabu no ho no no akwahye parliament house ahye supreme court assess any wa bebrebe wo man ni mo it is a sana empanimfo wa adwimi so be so investigate culture of silence the best say obuma ne pa de no entu yefo na yenyaye sa because culture of silence dey enye adwuma kire wa adwe ma me wo comment section hi Penyah Media Accra.